I think maybe moving forward in the future and we get more pedestrians and cyclists, that could be a consideration to look at widening the path and having clear travel lanes.
Thanks, Emma. I see Patrick is back.
Sorry, I don't know what happened there.
No worries.
Somebody was asking a question about horses and then they got kicked out.
Is there anything you wanted to add about that? I mean, Emma's already covered that. It'll be a multi-use trail, so.
Other than that, it's yeah, I mean, that's the way things are on Bowen. It's not great to have bikes and horses sharing a path right next to the road. I don't really have an answer for it though. They're not really very compatible uses, especially right next to a major road. But I guess they'll all be able to use it.
Yeah, thank you, Patrick. Any other comments or questions from the committee for Emma and Patrick? Nope. Okay. Well, thank you both for being here. We appreciate it and great work you're doing. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. All right. So moving on. Sorry about that. So we are at 4.1, and then after that we'll have Sue Ellen. So just a quick review of the action items, which we'll be talking about through the meeting. The first one is going through the parks plan to find recommendations referring to preserve and protect. And I think this refers to the, this is a general action item for all members to go through the parks plan and look for this reference. So I don't know if anyone has done this yet, but we could keep this on the action items for next meeting. If not, are there
has anyone done it?
Has any committee members, have they had a chance to go through the parks plan to find references to preserve and protect since our last meeting? I must say I'm guilty that I haven't. So we'll keep this on our action items for next time and definitely get to that. The second action item we had was about the articles. This one was for Bonny to write an introductory article, which you already mentioned, Bonny. Do you want to talk about that now?
I think there's a agenda item. DG will talk to it a little bit later.
So we'll get to that later. And also we all had homework to do to get our articles ready for today, our short little articles. So we'll get to that during the article section of the meeting as well. And we've got a remaining action item around, I believe we discussed this, the use of QR codes in trails to provide heritage information. I think Bonny, you said this was, I mean, you're welcome to speak, but I feel like we talked about this and it was something that was still being looked into, but may not work for a number of reasons. So we can keep this on the action items if it's still an ongoing thing in the background.
Yeah, I don't really know what more I can shed. I wasn't able to extract. There was John Daller was involved with the Heritage Trail as it is right now with the QR codes. He was unable to, extract detailed information. He got a number of hits, but there was a problem with his phone. It was linked to his phone and he changed his phone. So yeah, so there isn't accurate data associated with the usage or, details about the users. But it is being used. He couldn't even give me the exact totals. But also too, there is some more work. I think the Heritage Commission staff, maybe you know better, but I think they're working on expanding the Heritage Trail with some more stops, with some more heritage sites. Are you aware of that, staff? Because I know
they're putting in an application to the Heritage Fund, and that will go towards expanding.
Yeah.
Trails. Yeah.
So yeah, because we were looking at maybe having QR codes at Quarry Park or some sort of yeah, we were looking at that, but then I think Jillian was sharing, our new recreation manager of recreation and community services. She was saying, you know, sometimes it's nice to go out into nature and not have your phone, right? And so anyway, but I don't really know what more light I can shed on that action item at this time. So yeah, I don't know if we need to keep it on.
Perhaps we should remove it.
Yep.
Take it off. And I see that Phil, you've shared something in the chat. If you'd like to comment on that.
Just doing my on-the-fly review of the parks plan. There are quite a few references to preserving and protecting within the parks plan. This is the first one, and it just is basically an overall recommendation that says, you know, Parks Plan recommends number 5.2.2, enhance park and trail connectivity, provide natural corridors, allow wildlife population movement, and preserve biodiversity. And then there are a whole bunch of other references in the plan that refer to preservation of either preservation of trails, preservation of natural areas, preservation of features or ecosystem values. So there are plenty of those types of references. It wouldn't be that hard to go through and pull them out and list them if you would like somebody to do that.
Thanks, Phil. I guess the idea was for us to list them out and then compile them stuff. Is that what our previous notes had said? I can't remember how.
I feel like there was something about, there had been question about the mandate of the committee and urging from council to be more aligned with the parks plan, and therefore finding areas where preservation was part of the parks plan justified recommendations from the committee. Bonny?
Yeah, I'm not sure the intent of that action item. So I think if I may, our work plan has all of the items on the work plan have now been linked to the parks plan. Our mandate, at least, or our actions for this year are intimately linked to recommendations.
I think you're right, though, Steph, that it was in reference to the comments from council around whether we had a mandate to even discuss things related to preservation and protection, which I mean, basically, there's quite a lot in the parks plan that refers to that. Table 14, natural capital recommendations, objective 5.2, protect natural assets in parkland. It's pretty clear.
Yeah, so I think, DG, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with Phil. That's, I believe that's what it was in reference to, whether or not we had a mandate to do anything other than just look at municipal parkland. And so, you know, looking at our job in terms of how is it that we can look at linking and looking at the island as a whole, I think. So I think it would be a good exercise for us to do to make sure that we're all conversant in that.
I think we also discussed it around the articles we're writing. I think making reference to this in our pieces. I'm not sure if it's necessarily an item for us to be listing and compiling this. I think it's just for us to be aware and incorporating in our pieces, and also, I guess, in our questions with council. I've seen a few hands up, so I'm sorry, I've lost the order. I'll start with Bonny.
I just wanted to jump in that it's the linkage has to be made in order to keep within our mandate, within our terms of reference. All the articles are going to be linked to sections of the parks plan, and all those articles are coming out of a recommendation that's in the parks plan for education. So yeah, so we're definitely going to make those linkages in the articles. If they're not there right now, when I do the editing, I'm going to make that linkage because council would like to see that linkage be made, I believe.
Thanks, Bonny. Sue Ellen?
I don't know that I've got much to add here, except that some members of council are very supportive of the environment and ecological preserve and protect and all that. So it's don't feel like the council is against you or anything like that. There were just some questions, so I wouldn't turn it into a project or anything like that.
Thanks, Sue Ellen. Was there another hand up that I missed? Rob.
So I guess I did take a look through a lot of it, and I was actually a little bit surprised to see protection from marine habitat and ecosystems as one of the priorities, as well as terrestrial habitat and ecosystems. That being said, I guess, where do we go from here with that action item? Bonnie, you've said there's linkage between this year's plan and objectives and recommendations in the overall plan. Is there anything more for us to do at this point?
No, so I think we linked it to the work plan, incorporating those elements into the work plan and also into the articles, the individual articles we're writing as committee members to make reference where we can to preserve and protect, but definitely to the parks plan. And Bonnie mentioned that she would be updating the pieces that we're submitting with references to the parks plan if they're not already there. So I think that's all there is to do in terms of action, but I think we can take this off the action item list, but just be aware that as we prepare our pieces, we should be making these references where we can.
And also, I think it's great that we're having the discussion because it's good for our knowledge. And plus, this is part of the public record now through our minutes, and it's live streamed. So I think, you know, we have more knowledge now. We know what's in the parks plan. Like that's what's great about it, is we can point to different sections in the plan. And I think it's a knowledge enhancing exercise.
Thank you, Bonnie. All right, so I think that was the last item on the action items. So moving on to 4.2, which will be the councillor update. Sue Ellen, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, thank you everybody for indulging me coming in a little early here. I just wanted to bring you up to date with one of your previous projects of this committee, which has to do with Ecclestone Beach. And so remember, Ecclestone in Miller's Landing had a beach access, public beach access that had been used by everybody on Bowen really but especially that neighborhood for like 100 years, 1912 or something like that. And anyway, back in, since 2017, so sometime recently, this committee's been working on it for over 20 years. I know back when it was Parks and Rec Commission, before this committee and before the committee before, I took part in a beach access inventory around the island, and that was in 2001. And at that time, we visited Maggie Cumming and Ian Stewart, and I visited most of these, including Ecclestone Beach Access. And anyway, recently, this committee has made a recommendation to council, and it's partly why staff have been doing this good work of trying to reinstate the public beach access at Ecclestone. And here's what this committee, Parks, Trails and Greenways recommendation was. Steph sent me this sometime since 2017. I didn't look up the exact date. That this is the recommendation, that Parks, Trails and Greenways Advisory Committee recommend that council direct staff to report back on options for restoring the public beach access, public access point at the end of Ecclestone statutory right-of-way, including the possibility of an easement across the neighboring property. So that's, and then I looked at the parks plan, and it talked about a coastal strategy on page 46 and goal 3, objective 3.1. Anyway, lots of good stuff about improving key beaches and coastal access points, develop and adopt a shoreline management program, plan, with coastal access acquisition strategy, continue to restore and protect. Anyway, all kinds of good things there about beach accesses. And so from the Parks Plan and the recommendations of this committee, staff have been looking for a way to restore the public beach access. And so this came to our previous council meeting, not last night's, but 2 weeks ago. And an option came before us, and we, as a council, voted to put it out there for public comment. So because—
Is anybody else frozen?
No, am I frozen?
No, you're not frozen, but
Coming
Steph is
through
frozen.
fine here.
Okay,
Yeah, you're fine.
I think it's just Steph. Okay, I'll just keep going. All right. Anyway, and Bonnie can explain this more later, no doubt, if the committee wishes to ask questions, but there has been through the planning department, an option has come forward because the landowner of the private property is interested in putting in a dock. And it's quite a large dock that he's proposing, and the site is very tight with our bylaws. So the question of would it be able to have a dock there in return for a little public access trail dedication down to the beach. And so that's what council looked at. I was going, I think I moved the motion saying my priority is to get public beach access reestablished to Ecclestone Beach. And so we put it out to public comment. Well, lo and behold, the neighborhood had been looking at another option, reminding that this committee's recommendation was report back on options. So there are two, as it turns out. The neighborhood, I think we surprised each other, which is always unfortunate, but the neighborhood has been coming up with another option of a metal staircase down what we had been thinking of as a buffalo jump, as impassable. Well, they've been taking a real stab at it with engineering perspective as opposed to planning perspective. So we'll see what their option looks like. And if people are interested, that group is called the Friends of Ecclestone Beach, and they are putting funding into this in terms of hiring the engineer and all that kind of thing. So they're bringing a proposal forward. They're looking for, last night, there was a number of speakers, including DG Blair, who were speaking to our council meeting at the beginning. We had 16 people speaking during public comments. And this was a main topic. And so I just invite everybody to take a look at the option coming forward from staff, from the good work of staff, and from the very interesting proposal coming forward from the Friends of Ecclestone Beach. And so we'll see what happens. They're looking for an extension, I think, and to June 14th instead of, well, anyway, they need more time to get their proposal complete. And I was contacted by them and I pointed them also towards the collaborative projects policy because, you know, for the long term, they're putting this project together, and that's an invitation to community groups to work with the municipality in a collaborative way. And so I just wanted to let the group, let the committee know about that, and let you keep your a chance to go visit Ecclestone Beach and look at the proposals if you wish to. I don't have anything formal for the agenda tonight. I just wanted to give you the heads up that there is more happening, and that the dock is really big. So I'll pass it back to you, Chair. That's my quick report.
Thank you for that, Sue Ellen. I don't know if Bonnie wants to intervene before the floor. I open the floor. No? Okay. So DG and then Ben.
Yeah, thanks, Sue Ellen, for that update. I was just curious in terms of, did council make a decision regarding the extension of the deadline, and what is the status of that?
Thank you, DG. That's a good question. No, we didn't have it on the agenda last night, and I hadn't put it on ahead of time. not knowing what people would be asking for. So I think we've heard that, and I imagine that council will look at that probably at the next council meeting or something like that, or working with staff. I don't know. I believe they're in touch with staff now. So we'll see.
Because I mean, I think it would be a shame because it was just a couple of weeks they're looking for to not get all the information because of a logistical issue.
Well, if this committee wishes to make a recommendation, June 14th is the date that Friends of Ecclestone are looking for. But I think council is listening too.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we could, okay, so let's carry on here. Mhm.
Bonny, you want to just come in?
Yeah, I believe staff is going to be bringing forward at the May 10th council meeting a recommendation to extend.
Sorry, a recommendation
To extend
to
the,
extend?
yeah.
What, I guess it wouldn't hurt to have this committee recommend as well.
What is the committee? Well, before we get there, how about Ben? Oh, okay. Go ahead, Bonny.
The only thing is, I mean, Steph's here, so it's the recommendation. If there was a recommendation put forward tonight, staff, would it be ready to go on to the May 10th council agenda? Would it? It wouldn't be. No.
The deadline was yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the.
Yeah. We've moved our deadlines around a little bit. That's why I was mostly treating this like a heads up. And if people wanted to track what was going on or visit Ecclestone Beach or talk to their friends in Miller's Landing, that's all. I think it's in good hands, and I'm not that concerned about it. I just wanted to flag it with the committee because you had this outstanding recommendation, and so much work from this committee had gone into it over the years. So we'll see what happens.
Thank you, Sue Ellen. Ben?
Just a quick question, Sue Ellen, about the decision regarding the dock. Is it linked directly to a decision about whether or not the easement will be the path taken forward, or if the stairs are the path to the beach? Is the dock dependent on there being an easement granted?
My understanding is yes, but I'll let Bonny answer.
Okay. Yeah, if that's okay, Sue Ellen, I'll just
Yeah.
So it's a development variance permit to relax the setbacks. Now the easement for pedestrian access to the beach would be granted if the property owner obtained a tenure from the province. So what happens is the property owner applies for a tenure for dock, and the province then asks the municipality if the dock complies with our bylaws. And in this case, because a DVP would be granted in this, we'll just say the scenario that's not been granted, but then we could say, yes, it complies because the DVP was given. And then the tenure in theory would be granted to the property owner from the province. And if that all happened, then the easement was being offered. But it was only being offered if the dock, or if it was successful. Yeah.
Which means it would also include the piece of public access in perpetuity. Right, Bonny?
Thank you.
Nicola?
Thanks, Lou. My question was pretty much the same as Ben's, but I was curious about why there is no grandfather clause on what has already been there for 100 years. And also just what Ben was asking, he wants the dock in exchange, and that was already clarified. So, but yeah, I don't understand why there wouldn't be some kind of a grandfather clause on an access. It's been there for over 100 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as far as we know, there's no, that we don't, it's not kind of like England. In England, in British law, there's sort of this rite of passage, but we don't have, as far as I know, in Canadian law, that sort of clause. People have always been, for lack of a better word, trespassing when they've been accessing that beach, but it wasn't an issue, right? It wasn't an issue before. With previous owners.
As I understand it, the private property owner welcomed the neighborhood And so that was it. There was permission. So it wasn't so much of a trespass then, but when the property changed hands, that permission didn't change hands. Maybe is the way to say it. And then the municipality, of course, like any local government or any government, can't encourage people to trespass. So the public access sign, and this is just me interpreting, but I'm pretty sure that you can't have a public access sign encouraging people to trespass. So then we put it as a coastal, staff put it as a coastal viewpoint sign. That's how I've been explaining it to people anyway. Bonnie, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but, and so that, of course, alerted the neighborhood even more to that the changing hands of the property was changing the uses. So there's a number of good submissions that we received yesterday in council's agenda, not just the speakers, but there's a number of letters, including ones from the Friends of Ecclestone Beach and West Coast Environmental Law, and some people talking about the neighbors, people who know the beach well, who grew up going to that beach, who used to have a dock, but it all got swept away because that's the way that shore is. And would it be like Cape Roger Curtis with the big dock that was broken? And or people talking about, oh, I'm not sure if that was in the agenda or if that just came in recently, but about cetaceans and seals and things and swimming through that part of the north part of the bay. And I'm just very interested in it's, I mean, it's all part of our license of occupation, right? And the restoration of the ecological and social well-being of Deep Bay, Mannion Bay. And so I'm curious as to how it'll all play out, but it's great to have a couple of options for council to look at. And so I'm sorry I've taken more than the 5 minutes.
No, thank you so much, Sue Ellen. I got a chance just to watch a few of the passion pleas from neighbors and from residents of that area, and I encourage everyone just to tune in and listen. So I'm going to be watching, and I'm curious to see how council will move forward with this one. But it's great to see the community coming together and having the help of staff to create that CPP. I'm also fortunate to have the help of staff with a CPP we're working on with Bonny and the team. So it's such a great modality to do something, to be able to be involved. Yes, that's the collaborative projects policy. Sorry for the acronym. Did you have any other updates, Sue Ellen, or that's all?
That's the main one. And with that, I'm going to duck out, if I may, and get an early night tonight. So thank you for all the good work you're doing. And this is wonderful. And sometimes it takes years for the work to bear fruit, like the multi-use pathway. A precursor of this committee also worked on that about 25 years ago. So now, finally, or a different version of it is coming forward, and that's great. So thank you, and have a good meeting.
Hang on, before you go, should you not be part of the photograph, the screenshot?
I tried to get away.
Yeah, no. Sorry.
Thank you for the reminder, DG. Shall we do that now?
Before Sue Ellen goes? Important that Sue Ellen. Yeah. I'll just.
Okay, who's gonna count us in? 1, 2, 3, go. Okay.
It happened. Okay.
Very good.
All right. Thank you, Sue Ellen.
Okay, now you can go.
Have a lovely evening.
Okay, bye.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.
Night.
Good night. All right.
I think I blinked. We do it again.
Too late. So moving on to item 5 on the agenda. This is around the Bowen Island Conservancy, Cape Roger Curtis. Bowen, I think Bonny, you will take the floor on this one. And you're on mute.
Thank you. So I think everybody was present when the Conservancy, Rob, I don't know if you were here at that meeting. The Conservancy came and presented to this committee. Rob, were you here for that?
I was here. Thank you, Bonnie.
You are great. So
I was absent.
you were absent. Well, they came and did a great presentation. And of course, they've got the Conservancy lands out at CRC. And they're just looking, they're doing some planning for those lands. And I met Naris Poole and Ellen out at the Cape, and we walked around and looked at some sort of interim measures that would help the Conservancy. They're twofold. There's the one that we could help with a little bit of shoulder improvement, the municipality, some shoulder improvement at the end of Hazard Creek Road or Lane, and some signage for parking there. We could have probably about 4 or 5 cars. That would be a nice parking spot, as the other areas, the shoulders aren't very wide right on Cape Drive. And there's also a lot of rises and it's not very safe around it. The visibility is poor in that area. So I have talked to Public Works and they are on board, but we just were seeking a recommendation from this committee, and it is in the council agenda tonight. It is a draft recommendation. So the first one is the recommendation, whereas the Bowen Island Conservancy has purchased land to be designated as park at Cape Project Curtis, and whereas the Conservancy has requested that Bowen Island Municipality provide support regarding access and visitor parking. Therefore, be it resolved that Parks, Trails and Greenways Advisory Committee recommend that council direct staff to enhance the roadside parking by implementing minor improvements to the shoulder and road and at Hazard Creek Road near the main entrance to the park. That's where the main entrance is going to be, just off of Hazard Creek Road near the end there, and also install parking signage in the same area. And as I say, I have Public Works is on board with this recommendation. We will be looking at a capital, like getting it into our plan, our budget for next year, to do a little bit more extensive parking area in that location, but this is for the time being. And the second recommendation is that there is covenanted shoreline area down near the bottom of Ocean Rocks Trail. And if you go down Ocean Rocks Trail, the covenanted area is to the left as you come out to kind of the old building site where a house would have gone, but now that's Conservancy land and will be reclaimed. But then you can carry on and go down to those rocks down on the ocean. So they were hoping that people wouldn't walk through that covenanted area to access other bits of the shoreline. So they are going to put up some fencing and some signage. And what they're hoping is that people access the park. They're going to be doing some trail work and some nice routes to protect the ecological integrity of the area. So we could help with some signage saying this is not a loop trail, sensitive coastal bluff ecosystems. We can have that signage to help municipal signage at the signposts as you head from Cape Drive into the trail system that is the Ocean Rocks Trail. So it's the second recommendation says, whereas the Bowen Island Conservancy has purchased land to be designated as park at Cape Project Curtis, and whereas the Conservancy has requested that the Bowen Island Municipality provide support regarding protecting sensitive ecosystems. Therefore, be it resolved that Parks, Trails and Greenways Advisory Committee recommend that council direct staff to work with the Bowen Island Conservancy to develop and install signage aimed at protecting sensitive shoreline areas near the municipal Ocean Rocks Trail. So those are the two recommendations before the committee tonight. Hoping that we could put those forward and get them to council, and then staff will be directed to help the Conservancy.
I'll move that, both of them.
Nicola, you have a question or your second? Okay, Great. And all in favor? So we can move that along. Thanks, Bonnie. All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda. It's around Quarry Park and the Headwaters Bog signage. Over to you, Carla.
Hi.
Hi.
So I did a little, I put together a small PowerPoint presentation just with some of the ideas for interpretive signs at Quarry Park. I think there's some new people. I don't remember if I've attended a meeting with Nicola or with Rob, but nice to meet you both. If not, maybe I think Nicola I have. But in case you didn't know, we have a grant. We got a grant from the Maggie Cumming Foundation, the Maggie Cumming Fund it's managed by the Bowen Community Foundation for improvements at Quarry Park and Headwaters Park. And part of the work there is going to be interpretive signage in those two parks. So I just put together some ideas and I'm just looking for some feedback today. If you guys want to interrupt me at any point, or I'll ask questions, you can answer them. You can type things in the chat, or we can leave it to the end. So however you want to do it, feel free, okay? I'll just share my screen here. Okay, can you see that okay?
No.
No, why is that? That's really weird.
Nothing shared yet.
Screen one, no, screen two. Sure.
Something's coming.
There we go.
Okay. Sorry, that did a little weird thing there for me. Okay. So we have budget for 4 different signs. We plan on having 2 freestanding, so those can go anywhere in the park, and then 2 rail mounted. So probably one in Quarry Park along one of the bridges, and one in Headwaters Park along the walkway that stretches across the bog. The other 2 we'd have to decide. So the ideas were to have one that was a bit more of the story of Quarry Park with some of the pictures from that Sue Ellen provided, I think maybe 2 meetings ago, of volunteers building the park and what it looked like before they did all that work, and Maggie Cummings as well, and what her vision was for Bowen Island and a continuous network of trails across the island. We wanted to have one on pond life, forest succession, bog plants, and I thought bog restoration could probably just be like a little side note in a larger bog plants kind of, or a bog life kind of sign attached to the walkway through Headwaters Bog. So we'll have a note about the Claudia's study that was done, and then the work that was done to restore it. And then water connections, probably in Headwaters Park. And then invasive plants, we were thinking maybe just a small sign, because we had planned on installing boot brushes at the entrance to each park. So maybe just a small sign with a spotlight on one of the invasives that are in the area, and some instruction on how and why to use the boot brushes. So I've got 2 slides here just with maps of the park, so that if you guys had ideas of where to put them, then we could place them on the maps here. So that's Quarry there and Headwaters here. So the history slide, I was really hoping Sue Ellen would be here, because she's the one who would be able to answer all of these questions. But I just put some of the pictures that she provided here with a couple potential captions. I do need to know more about the history. I haven't found anything on that yet. So if anyone has any knowledge of that, of when or participated in the activities there. I would love to hear about it. But yeah, I thought we could do a couple of photos of actual building the park, and the captions might say a work in progress. Volunteers work together to create, to create a healthy ecosystem and welcoming park. And then these two pictures of the grand opening and of Maggie Cummings speaking, saying a vision realized. Members of the community gathered to celebrate the grand opening of Quarry Park. And I think this picture is Sue Ellen and her dog and Maggie Cummings, maybe. And yeah, a quiet moment. Volunteers enjoy the results of all their hard work at the newly installed bench at Bob's Knob. Although I'm not sure that that's even Bob's Knob. It might be part of the bog. In terms of a slide for pond life, I don't have a lot of ideas on here yet, but if anyone would like to make suggestions for any species to include on the on this sign, I'm open to hearing them. For succession, I thought this would be a nice one to describe. So 0 stages and their characteristic vegetation, and then we could point to a photo, like a more current photo. Maybe we wouldn't say we are here, because I guess we'd want the sign to last for a long time, and we would eventually change where we are, but we'd show the disturbance and show the stage that we're in now, and then where we hope to be, or what we expect the forest to look like in the future. And
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Regarding the last slide, it would be good to have a different middle photo.
Oh yeah, that was the only one I had.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Most of these photos were just kind of thrown on here really quick and stolen from various places. So they're definitely not permanent.
Okay.
But thank you. Yeah, no, and I thought that we could do a photo of mature forest would be, one just pointing the other way. So you'd look here and look there kind of thing. So maybe that's a good spot for the sign to go, would be somewhere where you can have a look at 2 different stages of forest, just because you do have them right beside each other. Anyways.
If you need help getting a good photo for that, I could help if you want.
Sure. Thank you. Great. And bog plants. So I haven't seen a lot of round leaf sundew, but I'm just a real sucker for carnivorous plants. So I'd love to feature that one on there, because I have read in the studies that it's there. But yeah, I thought we could describe sphagnum and describe the restoration of the bog, and maybe put some photos of before and after photos in there as well.
I'd be happy to help with that too, proofing what goes on. Like I would take skunk cabbage out. It's not really it's there, but it's not really a bog plant.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I was thinking almost if we had the sign right on that walkway too, that we could even say like, these are the characteristics of a bog. It's a hard life in the bog or something, and say like, we know this is here because of this, and we know this is here because of this, like potentially something like that, or showing the different areas of different kinds of wetlands, because the 2 different plant communities exist right beside each other. Anyways, we can work on more ideas for sure. And then water connections. I just took a lot of stuff from a study that was done by Alan Whitehead back in like 2003, and also the waterscapes. I think that was in 2005. This one on the bottom left here. That was a really cool study. I don't know if everyone has seen it, but it was from the Geologic Survey of Canada. Anyways, And then, yeah, for the invasive plants, I thought maybe gorse or holly. And we already talked about just the 2 smaller signs by the entrance. And just talking about how they're occurring in the area and how bad the infestations were and why we need the boot brushes. And that's been it. Did anyone have anything to add or ideas to share?
Just
Thank you, Carla.
Yeah.
Yes, Claudia.
said interrupt anytime. Carla, I was just thinking I love the, having a signage about invasive species and boot brushes. But I'm thinking that like a holly is not transported that way. It's usually by birds eating the fruit. And gorse, I don't think of gorse as that common when we have quite a bit of broom on the island, but anyway, it's just something to look at what species to choose for that.
I was trying to think of invasives that I had seen actually in the park, and holly was the only thing I could think of, that was the only reason I put it in there. But the gorse, I was thinking more because it occurs quite close to there, so I was thinking a lot of people might be walking from Cowan Point. That's why there's like a huge infestation of gorse there, and so we don't want it to enter into the park from the adjacent trails. But yeah,
because the gorse does start pretty, like, fairly close there. You'll start seeing it along the roadway, as you say, Carla, on Cowan Point Road. Yeah,
but I'm not sure about another one to put there.
I mean, broom as well. I don't know if there's a bad grass species as well that you've seen there, Claudia. Have you seen a?
Oh, well, pretty much all the grasses you see are non-native. But I'll think on it a little bit and maybe pop you an email.
DG, sorry, I think DG's hand was up. And Carla, maybe you could just stop sharing the screen then.
Oh, sure. Sorry.
It's easier.
I have two, so it makes no difference to me. Okay.
Thank you. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, this is super exciting, and thanks, Carla, for putting that together. I was just going to say, I know I have some information for the water connection thing, because I was actually involved in that Whitehead environmental study that you were referring to, and I have to say that little logo about your watershed protect the source. It was me who got that going. I'm still proud of that.
It's really good.
It is really good, isn't it? Yeah, anyways. So there's probably some information that, anyways, I'd be happy to help with that section of those signs. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Claudia? You're on mute.
For the pond life, I was thinking there is a rare dragonfly on Bowen called the blue dasher, so that might be a good one to highlight. And red-legged frogs are an endangered species that we have here on Bowen Island, so that would also be a good one. And Will Husby might be really helpful to contact about the invertebrates.
I was thinking that. Okay.
Bonny? No? Okay, great. Is there some beaver life happening over there as well? I don't know. I don't know if you looked into that, Carla, that's something that you don't want to highlight, but I remember we saw some beaver homes, some pretty big ones last year. I don't know what's happening now. Yeah.
I haven't noticed them before, but I don't know if I've been looking. So
yeah. Ben.
Carla, I'm just wondering, if you've made a decision about the sort of language you intend to use in terms of accessibility, who's going to be reading the signs, and that's maybe a factor in the kind of information that you provide.
Mhm. I feel like the best signs that I have seen, and I'm no expert in this, but we'll have sections of longer text and sections of just a sentence, just a photo caption. It's kind of like a varied levels, longer stuff for those who are more interested. But yeah, I guess I haven't given a ton of thought to it.
That idea of having the information
Suggestions?
presented different ways is a really good idea. That makes it, that it can be accessible to different audiences, I guess. So yeah, that's a good idea to go forth. Cool.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks.
And on that, also the positioning of the signs, like so children can have access, so they're not so far up. They can be engaging with those who are closer to the ground. Bonnie?
Yeah, we hope to use this committee as well to sort of, have our demos and get the feedback from you. So, yeah.
Hand. Was it Claudia? No?
Claudia did.
I was just gonna say what Lou said, but have very picture heavy stuff at the bottom where kids could see it and
Great. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Carla. So I guess we'll keep giving you some feedback as we can. Is there a way you want us to, should we email you? What's the best way forward?
Yeah, sure. You guys can email me anytime, or, I'll come back periodically and ask questions as well. And if we have any new drafts, we'll share them with you and ask for feedback at that point as well. Are we behind? We are behind schedule. Okay. I'm going to save another thing for later.
Did you want to add something else?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Steph.
I'll put an action item on our list. So for all these people who have ideas, photos, different sentences of different lengths, please send them to Carla.
That would be great.
Great. Thank you, Carla. I see we're really running behind, so let's move right on to the article series. DG, over to you.
Oh yeah, I was just exploring all the graphics I have on that thing. So switching hats here. So actually, we've got these articles, and thank you very much to Nicola. As far as I know, you did 2, and then we've got Jeremy. Thank you very much, and Lou. I've done 1, and then we're still waiting to get something, and I may be wrong on this, but from Phil, from Sue Ellen, and from Ben. Is that correct?
We got one from Phil.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. From Phil and Ben?
Not from me.
Phil,
No.
yes.
Okay, great. So I guess maybe because not everybody CC'd me, so it's I'm sort of I don't actually have them all, but so maybe Bonny, you could speak to. I know that there's some things about length that we need to talk about. So maybe I'll let you speak to that.
Thank you, DG. Yes, sorry, and I will send you the whole file. So I've got all of them in a file. So thank you, everybody, for your submissions. It's fantastic. I spoke with Bronwyn today from the newspaper because we want to disseminate it, not only the articles, not only through social media, our BIM dissemination network, but also in the paper. And the paper is a little bit out of our control because it will be space dependent. And Bronwyn ultimately has the last say. She edits, right? So But she doesn't want huge articles. Well, I can't say she may have space for a longer article, but not necessarily. She said that she's no shortage of content right at the moment. So, but they're not super time sensitive. I said, we definitely want to have the articles full come out this year, starting with a kickoff article. So yeah, she'll just be space dependent. But as I say, I think they're great submissions. I am going to go through them. I haven't gone over them and edited them, and I'm sure DG, you could do a second edit as well. But we do have to be a bit mindful of space. So if everybody's okay, one, I need to make sure that those linkages to the park plan are there, as that is our terms of reference. And so I will do that. That's on our work plan, and that's been endorsed by council or approved by council or brought to council's attention for information anyway, our park plan or our work plan. So yeah, so I think that's the next stage. I mean, I think the kickoff article, DG and Rob have edited that article, and it's fairly short, and with our nice screen capture tonight of the committee, and I'd like to have the committee's names there as well. I think that would be a good start to it. There are a couple of articles, like I know with the West Side Playscape proposal, the collaborative projects with the great group of families that are working on that project. Lou's article ties nicely into that. So that's being presented to council May 25th or 26th council meeting. I can't remember which, I think it's the 25th maybe. And so it would be nice maybe to make that article our June article, if we could, as the kickoff one will be the May article.
Kickoff of May, okay.
Thanks, Bonnie. Yeah, did you?
I think that's it. If, I guess hopefully everybody's okay about, Bonnie, did you get an idea about how many words that Bronwyn said? Are we looking around 200 to 300 words?
Ideally.
Yeah. So if anybody submitted one a bit longer, if you want to take it back and shorten it yourself, because I love Jeremy's article, but I thought it was quite a bit longer than that, as I recall. So is there anybody who wants their article back to sort of do the first pass of editing, given that 200 to 300 words, or are you content to letting Bonnie slash words?
I'll try and edit mine back. I thought it was a bit long. It was fractionally over. I think 400 was the max that was, and I was slightly over that.
Okay, great.
But I'll try and edit that down.
I loved it, but I just, we got to get it in there. Yeah. So super. Okay, I think we're done.
I'm okay with it being slashed.
Mine's more than fractionally long. I think I need to probably have a go at it myself.
Yeah, Phil, yours was so interesting. I think that knowledge is so important for people to have. All that.
Just too long.
Yeah.
Right. I thought I sent it to the whole committee, but I can't remember.
No, you probably just ignored me on purpose.
Rob?
Just given the comment about how interesting Phil's was, just something to consider. Is there any benefit to having the articles, around the 200 or 300 words for the undercurrent and for the, but maybe on a web page on BIM, there's an option for more information, go here for a more detailed article? I don't know, just a thought.
I like that idea. We could put them on our environment page. We definitely want the short versions for our social media as well, but I guess, we could, we could link to, because it's very good. And Phil's and our old growth, all of them have great content, really important content. So I like that idea, Rob. We definitely can. We're reconfiguring our we don't have an environment page right now. We only have a climate action page. So we're actually creating an environment page.
Remember Sue Ellen kept coming up with paper articles from the past and asked Carla and I to make a section of the Parks and Trails Committee page for her stuff, historical. So we can put a tab on that and put the articles there if you want longer versions to live in that spot.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, because people could go, you know, if they miss it in the social media or the website or in the undercurrent, they could go to the website and they'll, you know, we could have them up there. I mean, I guess even and keep them up for 2-3 years or whatever, and then maybe we'll be doing more articles next year and we could have them going. But I like the idea of having them on the website under PTGAC, I think. Yeah. Okay, good work, everybody.
Great, thanks, DG.
Myself in
Thanks,
action
everyone.
too.
I really like this initiative. I think it's so great to highlight the volunteer efforts of all of you and just the committee and what we do. And yeah, and the education component and getting people to read the parks plan, right? So it's a really great initiative.
Yes, Claudia?
I was just wondering, Bonnie, would you be able to send well, maybe once they're edited, but actually I'd like to see the longer versions too, but send the articles around to the committee, ones that haven't gone out, so that, you know, we might as individuals miss it in the undercurrent or social media. And I think it would be great if we, you know what's being said by other committee members and you know, in case we're asked by anyone, you know, we can all be knowledgeable in the same way. And also what the topics are that are still forthcoming. So that, like, for instance, I had not been able to volunteer for one because of the phone book, but, you know, I can see what's already being written and see if there's something else that I could contribute.
That's fantastic for sure, Claudia. Yeah, for sure. Keep the committee in the know. And as far, you know, we have 6 articles now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 articles. So really we're good for the year, really. So I mean, Ben, if you did want to do an article, that's great. But if you don't, like this time around, there'll be other opportunities, because I think we're good, because you know, we're already in month 4, right? So of the year, almost month 5. Yeah.
Great. Since we're running short of time, I'm just gonna move us along. Thank you, DG, for coordinating that, and Bonnie and everyone for your hard work. So yeah, we're up to staff update now. So back to you, Bonnie.
Sorry, can I just ask what did you share in the chat?
It's just an image that was, so you link it. It was a graphic that we used with that water report, and I have a whole whack of them. It's raindrops, so you can click on that, and it's the story of water on Bowen Island.
Nice.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
And those are those would be all BIMs, you know, available.
Nice.
Thank you so much.
Sorry.
So no, it's okay. It just takes a bit. It has to convert. It's converting while we're talking. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's fantastic, DG. Thank you so much for the history. That's great. So just quick staff updates. Mount Gardner Connector Trail I've talked about before. Carla and the Metro Vancouver biologist, or no, actually we've retained services of a biologist. yeah, there were too many nesting birds to do the work. So yeah, which was good. It was awesome that there were a lot of brown creepers and barred owls and lots of towhees and all sorts of bird life in that section. So we have delayed the project until the fall. So that will be done, completed. We were ready to go, and then it was bird nesting season. So as I say, it's a good and a bad. It's a good thing that they're there. SeaChange works in Mannion Bay. I think everybody's familiar with that. The information mooring buoys are being installed fairly soon. COVID is kind of, the travel restrictions sort of threw a little bit of a monkey wrench into things, but yeah, we're going to protect the eelgrass beds. The Scotchman buoys are out there now. And there isn't any anchoring as we speak into the meadows, the eelgrass beds and patches. The regreening grant for 2021, the intent is to revegetate the covenanted area on Terminal Creek by Carter Pond, by Carter Road. There was some works done there years ago, and it hasn't been coming back. There's some invasives, and it's yeah. So we're going to revegetate that bank, and Carla has great plans to involve kids if we can for that project as well. So we do the regreening. We've had some great projects with that regreening grant. I think probably about 4 years in a row now. We've done some tree planting and yeah, regreening. And then Arbutus Ridge Parkland Playscape. There's a great group of families that are working hard. And that project, the collaborative projects agreement, the draft and the report staff is bringing forward to the second meeting in May, which is the day after the 24th. I think it's the Tuesday. The council meeting is usually on Monday, but I think it's on the Tuesday because the Monday's the holiday. So yeah, so that's an exciting project at the Arbutus Ridge Playscape area off of Windjammer Road, and looking forward to bringing that forward to council. And then the beach water testing program is going forward again this year, and we're starting that very soon. I have talked to Vancouver Coastal Health into sampling the lagoon again this year. They didn't want to do it last year, and I said it probably would be in their best interest to have data from the lagoon. So they are going to be testing the lagoon site as well as Sandy, Mothers, Pebbly, Snug Cove, Tunstall, and Bowen Bay. So that's it.
Thank you, Bonny. Any questions for Bonny? Nope. Okay. Thanks again, Bonny. Moving on to bids. Phil, do you have any updates for us?
Not really. The only thing that's happened since the last meeting was our AGM, and that was well attended. 23 people, I think, and we elected 2 new board members. So it was a good meeting, positive, I think, but nothing really to report in addition to what I gave last time. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Phil. Are there any questions for Phil at all about that AGM or bits? Nope. All right, so we're at the last item, which is mine. And mine is just really quick. I just wanted to make sure the committee was aware that there was a review. There's been a committee review process happening with councillors, Kale and Nicholson, with all the chairs and vice chairs of the committees. There's 17 active committees and 7 water system local advisory committees. So this is the first time I understand they're doing this review, and it's been 6 weeks since we've met. So we had an initial meeting with all the chairs and vice chairs, and then they had individual meetings just following up. And the objective of these meetings was to review the structure and function of the committees and figure out how to strengthen the work of committees and link them up to strategic priorities of the municipality. Also to ensure that committees are engaging in meaningful and impactful work, to identify where there's efficiencies or lack of efficiencies, confirm what's working well, and also just asking the chairs and vice chairs for their input on a number of questions. There are about 8 questions. And I'm happy to share this with the committee if anyone's interested, but really talking about like the structure and how aware the chairs and vice chairs are of these strategic priorities and how much our committee's work aligns to these priorities, how to improve the work of the committee. Also, you know, like what's going well. There are a lot of questions using scale, like on a scale of 1 to 5, how well does our committee function, et cetera, et cetera. And I, of course, haven't been chair for so long, but I could give the feedback that I had based on my limited time. And of course, all shining words for the committee, because I think you guys are amazing. And I feel so fortunate to be a part of this committee. I wish I had maybe sent around these questions beforehand, so apologies on that. But it was really, you know, I think a lot of the comments that came from the group discussion were around how to help chairs and vice chairs in their roles, you know, with training or meetups, just so we can be in touch with one another. In the individual meeting, I talked a little bit, I did mention there, you know, they asked, you know, if our role is clear and our mandates are clear. And I did mention that we, you know, there could be some gray areas given some of the recent meetings, council meetings that we've all observed. And I think that it's just important that everyone knows the mandates of their committees, and the council can support the committee's work, so that we can make sure we're all following the paths we're supposed to be. And councillors Kale and Nicholson were very understanding and great. So the next steps on that, I believe they're compiling all the notes from these meetings, and they will have a preliminary report sometime in June, and then a final report with recommendations for the mayor and council in July, so sometime in the summer. And there will be some changes, I suppose, that may come or may not, but I guess we just kind of stay tuned. I don't know if Steph wants to add anything on that, but I just wanted to let the committee know, just for your information. And I'm open for questions. Steph, is there anything else you want to add before?
There will be a survey of all committee members, and that will be about 120 or something. If anybody has something they want to be asked, let me know.
Okay, Claudia?
So I did the interview as well with Councillor Kale and Nicholson. I really liked your summary, Lou. I just wanted to add something that comes to mind is that they did ask me, did we feel that there was any overlap with any other committees? And I indicated that the Environment and Climate Change Committee, that there was probably often overlap there, and that it might be good to have a bit of a protocol in place to touch base with each other. Maybe, you know, occasionally a joint meeting. I also, it was asked, how could council support our committee more? So I did have some thoughts on that about, well, several things, but one was that we do not often get referrals from the council on items that probably should come to our committee, such as requests for variances, developed permit variances, and that you know, we know from staff that many have gone through and they get approved, and I emphasize that, you know, that's one of the roles that as a committee that we can play, is to help look at these requests and give our expertise and feedback. And I did try and sort of clear up a little bit that last instance with the shoreline setback development permit area that we were proposing staff look at, and that so
sound. Oh.
Well, yeah, so that I just want to let the committee know that that some of several committee members here probably have similar concerns about how our role is viewed, and I did try and let them know only my opinion from me personally, but hopefully represented some feelings of others too. So yeah, I think it went well.
Thanks, Claudia. I also recommended a joint meeting with the environmental committee, so maybe that'll be a recommendation that comes forward. Yeah.
Sorry, one more thing. I did also point out to them that sometimes the committees might have outcomes, like successful outcomes, that are at odds with other committees' successful outcomes. An example being the Economic Development Committee and our committee, for instance. They sometimes, you know, for promoting development, and then we're promoting protection. If we both succeed, sometimes that's, you know, that's not the best thing. And so the municipality is doing this, but like, what are the priorities and the strategic priorities, and to make sure that we are focusing our energies as a community in the direction we want to go.
Thanks, Claudia. Perfect. Any questions from the committee members to either one of us on this review meeting? Nope. Okay. I think that was our last point. The rest is information items. And
thank you.
Oh, yes. A thank you for Christine. Thank you for that reminder. 6.5. So we can do a round robin, perhaps, and then close. So I just wanted to say thank you so much, Christine Miller, for her work for, gosh, 2 decades of the committee. I don't know, long time. And feel very fortunate that I had a few months with her before she departed. So I definitely, as a chair of the committee, really thank her from the bottom of my heart for all her hard work and dedication. And I know we'll still hear from her in some way. Anyone else want to take the floor?
Oh, I guess I'll say as well, just thank you so much to Christine. And I also want to say that it makes me very sad that she left the way that she did, in the sense that she was very, I think, disappointed in having to leave. But that nevertheless, just want to say how much I really appreciated her perspective over the years and her consistent application of her knowledge in this committee. So we'll really, really miss her. And yeah, I guess I'll just leave it at that.
Thanks, DG. Bonny?
Yeah, Christine, she was a very consistent member of the committee, and she really read the agendas, and she was in the know, and maybe that comes from the library. She's good, very well read, and also, I just, she didn't say a lot, but I really listened when Christine spoke. And yeah, her perspective was fantastic. And her legacy will live on. Yeah, so I'm going to miss her being here because she's been on the committee longer than me. So she's been a mainstay. So yeah, I really appreciate her volunteer efforts over the years. It's amazing.
I'd like to thank Christine too for her commitment to this committee and her, volunteering all her the evenings that she did. She was hardly ever missed a meeting, and I thank her for her input. And it's unfortunate that she felt she had to leave the committee, but yeah, we will think of her often, and I'm sure we'll be speaking up for Bahora on her behalf when items come to bear. So thank you.
Thank you, Claudia.
As an almost equally long member of this committee, it was really sad to see Christine leave. She could always correct my memory of ancient events in this committee or affirm them. Yeah, and sort of deep history with her in this committee, and which really originally started with Bihora. They were the impetus for all this, and it's evolved since. So there's a lot of lost collective memory, I guess, with Christine leaving. Very sad.
Indeed. Well, on that note, I don't know if anyone else has something to add, but we'll miss you, Christine, and look forward to engaging with you and seeing you on the trails soon. And that brings us to the end of our meeting. Steph, I see next meeting is TBD.
There's a funny, I think there was a bit of jigging with dates because of spring break. So I think we have the third Tuesday is slotted for you guys, but 1, 2, 3. This is the 4th. Then 1, 2, 3. I've got a little council conflict there on Tuesday, May 20th, and another council conflict the next, and then BIMTech. I'm wondering if you guys can meet on June 8th, Tuesday, June 8th.
That's fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I request, and when I spoke at the beginning about adding some items to the agenda about making sure that we get it on the next agenda. So I just wanted to make sure that that's going to be put in there. So the island plan, and that having a discussion about the linkages and future trails regarding the rezoning map. So just make a note that.
Sorry, the parks plan or the island plan?
No, the islands plan, because that was referred to in the last month's minutes. And it's.
So I wonder if I think there's a new.
The new island plan.
Yeah, and that will be good timing because
Oh.
the new island plan, because that's where the shoreline protection mechanisms or the wording around shoreline protection was going to go into one of the pillars in the island plan. So I think that's what it was relating to. Is that correct, DG? That's what we wanted to look at specifically.
Yeah, that's correct. And so I just want to make sure it's on the agenda for next month, please.
So will we have
just for clarification, sorry, before Bonnie respond, there are 2 items, right, DG? One is the trail linkages, which is in the parks plan, and then one is the island shoreline protection, which is the new island plan. So we're talking about 2 different plans, right?
Yeah.
Or is it all in the shoreline? Okay.
There's actually the the one about the linkages had to do with the rezoning maps. Remember, we had gotten that presentation, and then as a follow-up, we're supposed to be exploring that at one meeting. We probably are not going to want to do them both at the same meeting, but maybe we could. I'll leave it up to the chair, but I certainly would like to not lose them on the agendas as we move forward, because I think they're both of them are important discussion points for our committee.
Yeah, I think we could discuss both of them. I just want to make sure that everyone was aware that the trail linkages map is in the parks plan, the one that I've seen, unless there's another one.
I think the idea is that we're to discuss potential linkages in future trails based on the rezoning map that the zoning map that Daniel Martin presented to us at our last meeting.
Yeah, and I think we had a discussion. We had a discussion about overlaying his map with the trail linkages map.
Exactly.
And that trail linkages map is in the parks plan. So I wonder if we can do that so we can have a visual and share that with the committee. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know. I can try. I've got GIS, but if not, maybe Daniel has something. We can look into that. Okay.
Carla and I will discuss how we might be able to present that.
Okay.
What is the map that Daniel shared though? It wasn't a rezoning. We're talking about the potential subdivisions. So you just
have the development potential.
So it's the development potential map, and you want to compare that to what we already have for
the trail linkages.
So compare the two.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can think about that. And
okay, thank you.
Send something in advance. I'll see if I have.
Thank you, Carla.
No worries.
Nicola?
I was just wondering, DG, you're more involved with this, but I wonder if there's anything the committee could do or should do around the Ecclestone Beach access issue. Because Sue Ellen mentioned there were things that the committee had done, but it seems like it was years ago. And I just wonder if there's anything we should do to kind of let the community know that it's something that we're aware of and what maybe our position is, or how we could help the Friends of Ecclestone, if that's the position the committee wants to take. Is it something that we could maybe support them? It seems just so unfair to me that access is taken away from that, not just that local community, but I've been to that beach before, and all I know about it, I believe that the owner of the property is quite new, I think a couple of years, and he's not actually even a permanent resident on Bowen. So it seems like a giving up a lot for the community for one person or one family who's not even a full-time resident on Bowen. But that's just one part of the issue. But anyway, so is there anything we should do or could do?
They actually, the local Ecclestone group came to our group, and we did a walkabout. They were seeking our advice and perspective, and we did a walkabout to it, and it kind of ran, I don't know where that ultimately went. It kind of ran into a bit of a cleft stick, and the rest, I know they knew that we supported their petition, but the exact nature of the resolution of that was up in the air, as I recall. Well, we did discuss it with them on site.
I mean, I suppose what could be done would be to go back and maybe, Bonnie, you would have a sense of, what were the various things this committee's done over the years with regard to it, and just have that available for, to make sure that information doesn't get lost. I think, though, in terms of having like what I had mentioned earlier, having a recommendation for this committee, it sounds like from what Steph says, no, we had a recommendation from today's meeting, it still wouldn't really make a difference because it's too late, right, to go before council. Is that correct?
It won't make it to their next meeting.
Right.
I mean, yeah, there is that recommendation that Sue Ellen read out today, earlier.
So I have it here. The recommendation that she read out was from June 4th, 2019. So was that following the walkabout, Jeremy? I know 2020.
Sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, it does sound about right, yeah.
So that would have come out of your walkabout. And then it was that council directs staff to report back on options for restoring the access point and right of way and possibility of easement across neighboring properties. So I guess that report back, wasn't it report back to Parks and Trails, but they've reported to council what the options are for easements and come up with that.
To restore access, yeah.
Trade for the restoration. So it feels like your action was to give that recommendation to council, and that loop has been closed on that particular request. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So perhaps as a committee,
you could make a recommendation, but I wouldn't be able to get it to the Ecclestone's in May 25th. Bonnie, is that the next?
It's going on May 10th. I think for
May 10th,
I can't speak, but I think they'll be asking for an extension to DVP, because the DVP was advertised that it would be brought back at the May 10th, but I think staff will be requesting it be extended in lieu of the new information.
Yeah, I mean, this committee could just reiterate our 2019, or tweak our 2019 recommendation that at least it would go before council when they're making the decision about whether or not to, which way to go from what Sue Ellen. I know this is a really hard thing to be doing at 9:06 after a long day of work, but I don't know. What does the committee? Nicola, do you have a recommendation you wanted to put forward? Or?
To be honest, I've been following it, but I'm not, I haven't been too involved. So I was just interested in what Sue Ellen was saying today. And I didn't realize there was as much a history with this committee with it. But from what I do know, I feel like I don't like the sort of politics behind it from what I do know of it. And I would like to see it resolved in a way that works for the community rather than for one person who is new to the community. And it just basically seems unfair to me. So yeah, I would like to, I personally, I could of course get more involved too, but if there's anything the committee could do, I would appreciate that as well, I think.
Carla?
I want to say, I worked a lot on this, and I want to say that I think that if the committee wants to take a position, it should probably get a little bit more discussion, because I don't think that that person being able to build a dock is necessarily going to negatively affect the community. In that case, you will get a beach access. No, we don't have a beach access now. We don't. People were trespassing, and and the property owner has put a stop to that. And that's all there is to it, right? Like nothing was really taken away. It just is what it is. I think what you need to do is wait for the proposal from the Friends of Ecclestone, because that also involves you creating a huge metal staircase that's going to be below the low tide line, which is another thing that we don't want to do, which is doing the same thing as what they're doing by building a dock. So I think you need to have all the information before you decide on a position, and that it would require some discussion and maybe some explanation of the history and all that's gone on there.
Thank you, Carla.
Oops, sorry.
Sorry, I know Claudia had her hand up, and then DG. Claudia, you had your hand up, right?
I did, sorry. Yeah, it's certainly something that comes under our purview of coastal access. It's unfortunate that maybe we didn't get onto this a month or two ago, one of our last meetings, because now it seems like things are coming in at the 11th hour, even though it's years ago that we did weigh in on it. But then there wasn't all this bargaining for a dock and such. So in case the extension allows it, if that does get granted or staff requests it, perhaps we should have it on the agenda for our next meeting to look at what the Friends of Ecclestone have proposed and a background of what the developer's saying. And I'll let Bonnie go.
Yeah, I think that would be the best course of action. We'll have more information at the next meeting of where the trajectory is going. And I think, you know, the Friends of Ecclestone, it wasn't coming back to council. They weren't expecting their engineer drawings till mid-June. So I think it was on the 12th or the 14th of June. So I think we're within our time. If we discuss it at the next meeting, we can all think about it. In the meantime, as community members, you're welcome to write council. You know, if you write mayor and council, those letters go on a public agenda. But I think that would be the best course of action, because right now we don't have all the information. Yeah, I think that would be best.
Okay.
Thanks, Bonnie. DG?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea to put it on our next agenda. My only question, I guess, to Steph is if we meet on June the 8th, will that be good timing in terms of getting any information, recommendations put forward to council during their decision-making process?
So it sounds like it's on the agenda for May 10th. It sounds like there may be an extension and that it's mid-June that the engineering. So if we meet on June 8th, June 14th is a council meeting. Will they have engineering drawings then?
I believe that was what Ecclestone, Friends Ecclestone were saying. So, but then council probably won't be making a decision that night. That would be my guess. So, you know, I think, yeah, I think it could get onto the next agenda.
So it could be on to July 12th.
I mean, I can't speak for council. I don't know what they're going to do, but I think to make a recommendation right now without knowing the trajectory, we've already, you know, it's going in the right direction right now. As far as I can see from a staff perspective.
So would it be helpful for an action to be for staff to gather, and I can help with this, to gather reports for Parks and Trails? So like there was a lot of time, it wasn't on the agenda last night, but there was a lot of correspondence from the community and discussion, public comments. That you find interesting, Nicola, if you wanted to check out.
Well, maybe just to let that Friends of the Ecclestone Beach people know that information is there and the history is there, in case they don't know. Some of them must know because you met with them, but maybe it would be helpful to them for their cause. So yeah, that would be great. Yeah, and thanks everybody. Sorry to bring this up so late. I know it is late, so it'd be great to maybe add it to the next agenda to follow up. And also, of course, with Sue Ellen here would be helpful as well. So great. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, so great. We'll add that to the next agenda, and hopefully they get the extension and we'll have time to put forth a recommendation once we have all the necessary information. So with that, friends, it's late and I'd like to close the meeting.
Hey.
Thank you, everyone. and until we meet again.
Okay, thank you. Stay safe,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Okay, bye.
Bye,
you.
stay safe.
Good night.